Okay, but he has signed, so I can go ahead and have Heath. Okay, well, ask him. Hey guys, Tyler here with Explore Scientific's Focus on Astrophotography. And today we have a great special guest. This dude has been the apple of my eye because this guy's amazing with a DSLR. I know, it's weird for you, Paul, but you don't understand. Mac Murdoc is simply amazing with a DSLR and a dedicated astronomy camera as well. So that's who my special guest is tonight, is Mac Murdoc. We're going to go over his story in the telescope industry, what he's done, what he's doing now, go over some of the equipment, and just basically get his whole backstory of who Mac is. So, Mac, how the heck are you, buddy?
I'm great, man. It's great to see you. It's
I know.
we've talked on the phone a few times, and it's great to finally get you.
I know. Finally, we can actually see face to face now. It's crazy.
I know. Though I feel like there's a pretty big lag.
There may be a little bit of a lag. We are having some internet issues, so there may be a little bit. So
It's almost a 2-second lag.
Yeah, it's gotta love internet, man.
It's okay. We'll make it work. We're gonna
make it work. That's what we got to do. We got to adjust and keep moving. So, guys, again, Mac Murdoc has been in the telescope, as far as I know, telescope world for what, 2 or 3 years now? I don't know for officially how long. How long have you been with the kind of the inside of the telescope world? Uh-oh.
He may be lagging.
Uh-oh. Darn internet. Curses. Oh no. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mac?
I think he's fallen off.
No. I'm not really getting a lag here when listening to you both. Okay. Thanks, Jim. We appreciate that. So we're going to try to see if we can get Mac back on. So yeah, that is a huge lag. Spoke too soon. Darn it, Jim. You spoke too soon. I can't say whose end it's on, to be honest. So we're just going to have to see if we can get him back on. Worst case scenario that we'll have to possibly reschedule this. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, I don't know why, but your screen just froze, and so.
Well, it's same on your end. You literally locked up. So I'm not.
Yeah, same.
Not sure. Are you streaming to wrong?
I lowered the resolution of the video that I'm requesting from you, so that's going to help. But you're going to be very pixelated.
But we won't see him in all his glory. Oh darn. So anyway, let's continue where we left off. Mac, how long have you been in the would you say the photography community / astrophotography community?
I started photography in late 2016. Took my first Milky Way shot in 2017, and then deep space. I think I started in 2018.
Holy moly!
No, 2019. Yeah.
So you've been at it for quite a while. Now I know you like to dabble. You're like the jack of all trades, but a master of none. You cook, you play musical instruments, and I mean, from Instagram, I see that you're constantly doing something all the time. What made you? I mean, I'm a simple guy. I just like doing one thing at a time. What made you just want to just embrace everything, try everything once? Because I wish I was kind of more like you, and I'm slowly opening up to being that way, just trying new things. But what made you just want to be more diverse and try different things?
I think it's just I get interested. It's like I see someone doing something really cool. I'm like, dude, I want to learn how to do that. That looks awesome.
Yeah.
And I have a healthy obsession with wanting to just learn about things. So I'm always on YouTube and trying to figure out how to do magic tricks or doing stilt walking or whatever it is. And you figure it out as it goes, and it just becomes kind of like a little minor obsession until you get halfway decent at it, I guess.
And then you move on
And
to
then
the
you
next
move
thing.
on to something else. Yeah.
Nice. So
But it keeps things interesting.
it definitely does keep things interesting. That's 100% true. Hi, Beatrice. Hi, everybody that's joining in. Again, if the delay's not helping you, this is Mac Murdoc. We're going to go over basically who Mac Murdoc is.
Pretty good now.
Is he good now, Paul? All right, perfect. Sweet. We're gonna get a little backstory on Mac as far as telescope stuff, what he does, and then we're gonna jump to his Instagram page, and everybody's gonna be enthralled by all these glorious pictures because it's simply amazing. It really is. So, Mac, DSLR. You started with a DSLR, right? For astrophotography in general.
Yeah.
So, did you have a specific camera that you tried out, or did you just jump straight into the deep end like some people do?
So I'll kind of give you a funny little story.
Perfect.
This is, imagine Mac never even dreaming or thinking in a million years that I would ever actually own a camera or even be a photographer. And one night I wanted to go to a concert, and I invited a bunch of friends, and they were just like, "Oh, that's a cute llama." There was a llama on the screen.
Of course. Leave it to Paul to put some weird things on the screen.
That was great. So, so I ended up going to a concert, and in the before the show actually started, I met a guy. Did not know him, just wanted to be friendly with the people at the show, and his name was Chris Bauer. And I introduced myself to him. At the time, I was doing stunts and was a production assistant over at Universal, and he introduced himself to me as a light painter, and I was like, "What the hell is light painting?" Like, I mean, I've always known people that like just write their name or a heart with sparklers, but I didn't know it was like an actual art
thing,
I guess. Yeah, and so, anyways, what?
No, go ahead. You're fine.
Hey everybody. And so I looked him up when I got home, and immediately, as soon as I saw his pictures, I was like, "Oh my God, this is what I want to do! Like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I got to do it." So literally, within the next 2-3 days, I bought my very first camera, and Chris.
I'm gonna try to find some light pictures that you've done in the past. This one's a cool one. So you can keep going, Mac. I'm just showing the audience what you mean by what an actual light painting, because some of us may not know what a light painting is, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, okay. If you want to go ahead.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was going to ask if you just want to continue where you're going, and then I'm just going to leave this picture up. That way you can kind of describe, and then you can describe what you're doing here.
Sure. Yeah.
And go from there.
So Chris helped me narrow down a few cameras of what to get, and then I found one that my cousin was selling for $300. It was the Canon 60D, and so I bought the 60D, and God knows the next second I was out light painting, and that was it.
Nice. So on this picture, I've tried to use F11 to make the picture bigger, but for some reason the freaking computer, there it goes. God, it helps if you're computer literate, I tell you what. So I got people yelling at me in the background, like, I don't work well under pressure. So it looks like this. It says here this is the Canon 6D with an EF 14mm at 2.8. That's crazy fast with an aperture of f8. So why? I mean, I obviously love what you do here as far as light painting. So, did the sparks not hurt?
Not really. I mean, if it hits your face, it's like a slight sting, but not really. I will tell you this: like some of the bigger things definitely burned a hole in his jacket.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Not the smartest shot, but I think it turned out super nice, and I love the location. And that actually was done in a tunnel underneath Mount St. Helens.
Nice. And what's in the background right there?
So So it's an orb, and what you do is you take like a almost like a lightsaber. It's just a tube that has like a light on it, and you basically hold your arm out, and you're moving it around while it's on strobe mode, and you get something like that.
And here's another one for everybody to look at. Function F11. There we go. That looks sweet.
So that's done with actual fire. I had a stick and put a white T-shirt on the end of it, and I lit the T-shirt on fire and stood in back of her and was just waving it around. And
that poor T-shirt. What did that T-shirt do to you? Sacrifices must be made.
Yeah, I probably should have used something that I probably wouldn't have worn.
That's all right. That's okay. So we're going to stop sharing right there. That way we can get a little bit more back one-on-one with you, and we'll go over your astrophotography photos as well. You know what? So you're great at photography. How long have you done the actual photography with a DSLR? Because I know you're you're basically a freelancer, right?
Yeah.
So what? Go ahead.
No, what were you going to ask?
I was going to ask is what got you into freelancing? Is it just the hours? It's just easier to do, or is it just it's just something that you enjoy the most of?
I think part of it is that I enjoy to kind of be my own boss on my own schedule. I think I work really well under my own pressure, and I don't know. I mean, it's not. I do enjoy working with groups. I love working as a team. I don't mind having like a leader above me to have like things, but I think just having yourself as responsibility, I think is kind of a beautiful thing in itself. Nice.
That's awesome, man. So we got a couple people in the audience that are asking questions, and Chuck's Astrophotography is in saying, "Hey, Mac, how's it going?" Alba Astrophotography is asking, "So, Mac, do you make your own light tubes and props for your light paintings?"
I do not. I do have a lot of homemade DIY stuff. In fact, the majority, I feel like, of light painters use DIY, just random things around the house, put them together, put a flashlight on it, and hope for the best. But the tubes, though, I get from a company called Light Painting Brushes. And they actually make a bunch of cool different things. And there's a thing called a universal connector, which is like a rubber piece that goes on top of your flashlight, and then you can stick a bunch of tubes or different tools and stuff on top of that rubber piece, and the flashlight just illuminates it.
Nice. That's awesome. So so you freelance. What got you into actually astrophotography? I mean, everybody always looks up and it's like, I bet I can take a picture of that, and just starts fiddling around with a camera or jumps off into the deep end, like I've said before, into like telescopes, main cameras, all that other jazz. But what drove you to start doing astrophotography?
So I've always loved space ever since I was a little kid. And I never knew that you could take a picture of space until after I actually owned a camera. And I saw a photographer by the name of Mark G. He did these beautiful nightscapes, and he has one video in particular that got me. It's called Full Moon Silhouettes. It's basically this giant moon moving across the frame, and there's just people walking in front of it as a silhouette. And I saw that, and I was like, dude, I got to see the rest of his stuff. And he had Milky Way shots. I was like, all right, that's it. Got to do that.
So I see
no question.
There's one Milky Way shot. I got to minimize you, bring this other window up. God, I love technology. It's so fun. And screen share. There's that. And come on, Tyler. I know. It's wonderful. It's wonderful, man. There. So that's what you're talking about. Now, did you take this picture? Why is it not working? Dag nabbit. Hang on, Mac.
I see a beautiful face.
Oh, well, I don't want that. That's hideous. God, that's.
I was going to say I'm not on camera.
No, you're not on camera. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to try this again. I think I got it this time. And function F11. There.
Hide that
I'm
bar.
slow. I can't hide the bar. This bar. There you go. That's done. No, hard things. Milky Way. Obviously, everybody can see it. Did you take this picture?
Yeah. That's taken over at Hoover Dam.
Nice. Were you actually sitting on top of the Hoover Dam when you took it? It looks like you could be.
So yeah, sure. So something about this photo is that it is a composite, but they're both taken on the same night in the same spot, just 2 different times and 2 different
different
directions.
ISOs, different shutter speeds, different directions. So basically, you took a picture of the foreground, the water, the mountains or hills, whatever you want to call those.
And I take that right before the sun goes down at blue hour, so that you really get the details of the mountains.
Yep. And then you're obviously just taking as many Milky Way shots as you possibly can. And then you just stack it on each other. Then you put the foreground into it, and bam. Now, my question is
this one. I think this one is single. They're single exposures, but they're taken with a star tracker and I believe it was a panoramic too.
Nice. That's pretty cool. So my question, because I don't know how you did it, how did you get it to reflect in the water?
How
did you do that?
Photoshop magic.
Yep.
Darn Photoshop magic.
So it's interesting. I'm looking at that, and if you went it back out there now, the water is probably another 50 feet less.
Yeah, it keeps going down. In fact, you can see where
it was.
The water line used to be.
Yeah, that's insane. It's crazy. So do you have telescope equipment that you take pictures of? I mean, I know what the answer is, but just in case the audience doesn't know what that answer may be.
Yeah. In fact,
what do you have?
My very first telescope. I have my very first telescope right here.
Nice.
Oh, look at that. Explore Scientific.
Oh,
this is the 80 millimeter. And then I put the moonlight focuser on it, and then it's got my old ASI 1600 with the EWF filter wheel.
Nice. That is amazing. It really is.
I bought this as my very first telescope. I did not know how to use it, but I figured it out.
That's all that matters is you figure it out. So what other telescopes have you used in the past to get to where you are now? Because I know you do solar, you do planetary. You've done some art, color art, not just light painting. Because I've seen on your Instagram that it looks like paintings, or it looks like some kind of chalk paintings of Jupiter, or it could just be my terrible eyes as well.
It's just my terrible photo of it.
No, that's fine. It's perfectly fine then. Alba Astrophotography is wanting to know, what was your first DSO you shot, and what is your favorite?
The first that I shot was a terrible one of Orion, like most people. It was very blurry and did not have any sort of tracker or anything, and I was like, it was terrible, but I was excited to see anything. And then my actual first attempt at really shooting astrophotography was actually the Lagoon Nebula.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
And I actually think the Lagoon Nebula is actually easier to shoot than Orion too. Like Orion's super bright. Oh, really? Yeah, like the Lagoon is so bright. And it's really big, so you can really, you don't need very much to be able to get it. But it's not like Orion where it's got pieces like the core that can easily blow out. I feel like to shoot Orion, you need to kind of know HDR a little bit. I mean, you don't have to know, but like, you know, to get one of those kind of images. But Lagoon is like evenly kind of beautiful.
It's evenly, and I just saw a picture on your Instagram, and I'm going to pull it up for everybody. And then we're going to do that. We're going to do that. So go away tags. Go away tags. Go away tags. Oh, thank Nebbit.
What are you doing, Tyler?
Hey. Let me run this show. You let me run this show. There. So that's the Lagoon.
Yeah, that's the Lagoon.
Awesome. Yeah, I've honestly never shot that thing. I don't even know if it gets high enough where I'm at, above the high enough around 40 degrees altitude for me to shoot it, to be honest. It may. I have to look. Go ahead.
Well, you can shoot the core of the Milky Way, right?
Yes, but it barely breaks 30 degrees.
Really?
Barely.
Wow.
Yeah, I sit at 36 degrees latitude where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah. So I sit a little low, but I mean, I can see Antares.
Hey,
I mean, I can see the core of the Milky Way. Yes, Paul.
Hey, Tyler.
Yes, Paul.
Can you let him just explain this photo a little bit more while Rob, the Superman boss man, needs something from you?
Oh, apparently I'm being summoned by the big man.
Yeah.
So I'm going to step
turn your
away.
mic off.
Yeah, Mac, just explain it to full detail, and then if Paul has questions, he'll ask. I'll be back, guys.
Maybe if you want to talk about something. That's fine. We have something going on that we have to have done in the store, and Tyler is the big boss man. So you got this on a tracker, obviously, right?
There we go.
You got this on a tracker, obviously, right?
Yeah, on a full mount.
Um,
An EQ6R Pro.
Oh, okay. What kind of this is stacked, right?
Yeah, so I took I normally take about 50 shots of each filter, hydrogen, oxygen, and sulfur. And each exposure is 10 minutes.
Wow, okay. So I'm terrestrial photographer. I'm not a astrophotographer, obviously. And I'm a filmmaker and things like that, and I work with mostly video. That's where I live.
Nice.
Video and film.
Wicked.
The one thing that I found tough about some of these things is that I don't have the filters, and so what would this look like without the filters? Would it just be nothing?
No, you can still get a lot of details, and here's the thing about the filters is filters kind of help you isolate the different parts of the nebula so you can kind of edit them a little bit separately, versus if you're just shooting that with a DSLR, you can get some really good details, you can get some really good colors. It's the majority of it is going to be one color, like just red, but you can totally make that nebula do justice with just a DSLR, no filters or anything.
Yeah. But if you have just a regular DSLR, it's got an infrared filter on the sensor from the factory. And
yeah.
So you're never going to see it. Is that true?
No, there's still a lot of infrared that comes through. And they have things like an Astro modification where they'll actually open up the camera and they'll remove the IR cut filter from your sensor, and that will allow more hydrogen alpha data to come through.
Of course,
but you'll still get it though.
Yeah, if you want to claim anything on your warranty at that point, no.
Yeah, you kind of void all of that.
So how have you ever? I see you guys stack these photos, and I've always found it strange for me because when you stack the photos, you're letting the computer interpolate what it's seeing. So it's dropping pixels, adding pixels from different
Right.
photos. So it makes me wonder how much of the detail isn't real versus how much is actually real that the camera just decided to keep and throw away.
The way I like to think about it in kind of simplistic terms is it's more taking all those pixels that are all layering on top of each other and finding a way to have a smooth blend of it all. And doing something like that will take away noise and boost your signal. So you can now, at this point, pull out more of the data that you want without pulling out the noise along with it. Like, you know, when you have like a really noisy image and you try and make it brighter, how the noise just really pops out. So at this point, you can make the bright parts that you want brighter without making the noise of space brighter. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, the noise of the sensor itself.
Yeah.
Really. You're just, so it's kind of like gamma. You're able to manipulate only part of the photo. Whenever you stack.
What do you mean?
Well, the gamma has to go down if you're... Anyway, sorry. I'm getting really, really technical.
No, it's okay. Get technical. It's okay.
I probably get it wrong because it just kind of hit my head. But now, have you tried stacking in Photoshop and have any success that way?
I have stacked in Photoshop. I feel like it's just more steps. So if I use the program that I do now, what it will do is it will take all those images, it will rate them. And that's something Photoshop doesn't do. So what I mean by rating them is it will tell me, it will take like the star size. So the smaller the stars, the better, because it means it's probably more in focus. There's been less atmospheric distortion. Also, things like sometimes your mount will move just a little bit and a star will start looking like a little comma. Yeah. Things like these, it will all rate, and therefore you can drop the worst pictures.
Right. Photoshop's not going to drop the star trail.
Yeah.
It's just
it's not going to drop any of that. And then also Photoshop won't, in one move, align everything and then stack them. You have to go through 2 steps to align all your images and then stack them after that.
Yeah.
Versus the one that's just one and done.
Now, the coolest thing that I like to do is to take a long exposure, set up my subject, my backgrounds. You know, they have 2 subjects. They have the sky, the landscape, but do a really long exposure, like a 100 ISO late at night, and just pop the foreground.
Yeah.
For like just a split second with the bright light. And it's absolutely, it always makes phenomenal pictures. And so have you experimented with that a lot in kind of astral?
That's
like in one
totally that's part of actually one of the main reasons why I wanted to get into light painting as well, is to just be able to light your foreground with different things, create your own shadows if you wanted to. And here's the thing too, is if you're doing Milky Way stuff and you're there on a new moon when the Milky Way is the brightest, it's like you can't see anything in the foreground, so you have to be able to light it up somehow.
Yeah.
And using either flashlights or a flash or even just a super long exposure just for that. It's like there's so many awesome ways to do it. I've lately got into the rhythm of, like, if I know that it's going to be a shot where I have to composite in the Milky Way because it's on a tracker, because you can't, if you take the Milky Way shot on a tracker, your foreground's going to be blurry.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, like, anytime anyone uses a tracker, it's going to be a composite. So if that's the case, then sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually take the photo during blue hour as the sun is going down. So you have that natural light without any shadows to really give you the details of the foreground of your image.
Good luck lighting the Grand Canyon, right?
Right.
Like that one shot that
Oh.
you had. There's no way you could reach out with that much light.
No, that was taken at blue hour.
Yeah, there's no way. What's the difference between morning and evening for you on the blue hour, golden hour?
One, I'm asleep, and the other one, I'm setting up. I'm not a morning person. That being said, as far as like if I'm out shooting until the sun comes up, I really don't think there's really any difference. I think it's all like the same blue hour.
Okay. So I've noticed when I do landscapes that mornings always, because I think it's because the temperature is lower in the morning. So
Yeah.
the atmosphere isn't quite as turbulent as it is at sunset.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. I've never actually thought about that.
Yeah, so I've always found that my morning photos are just crisper, more in focus.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Again, I never thought about that, but that is smart and probably something I'm going to take into effect more often now.
Yeah, so Mike Wiesner says that light painting is illegal in the Grand Canyon since it's an IDA International Dark Sky Park.
Yeah, it is. If I'm not mistaken, though, I think it's not the entire Grand Canyon. I think it's bits and pieces. Same thing within Utah. I think it's Arches National Park. There is definitely areas that you can't do any sort of light painting. I know by the Big Arch you can't. I don't understand this rule. I mean, I keep to rules because they're there for a reason, but that one I think kind of sucks.
All right. So what's your next project's going to be? What's your next big mountain you're going to climb?
So lately I've been processing the James Webb data, and that's been pretty fun to do, though my computer keeps like halfway crashing because those file sizes are huge. But I think as far as like an own personal project, I've got like maybe 30, 35 images fully shot, dark frames, flat frames, the whole thing, and that have about 25 hours of data on it. That have to be processed now. So I'm trying to process those before I start shooting anything more.
Okay.
Trying to catch up with myself. Like I got so into just shooting for the longest time that I forgot about processing.
So I'm trying to think of more questions. I'm not an astrophotographer, so it's hard for me to come up with astrophotographer questions. So, and I've kind of run out.
Hey, I did an interview not too long ago, and the guy ran out of questions, and then he started getting into politics and aliens.
Aliens.
And I was like,
well, don't you know, all politicians are aliens. You know this, right?
Oh, I'm interested. Continue. But
just like all hospital administrators are vampires.
Ooh, that's
right?
Dark. Now, here's the thing about vampires I never understood. All right, we're getting into this for a second. Is if vampires hate sunlight so much, and so they always live at nighttime, but moonlight is technically reflected sunlight, how does that make sense?
Well, the only reason they stay in at night is because they, glimmer all day.
That's sparkle.
Sorry. So, Alba asked, do you use PixInsight or what's your process?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I use PixInsight for the very few first steps. I use it, so I stack in a separate program, and then I move the main stacked images into PixInsight, which PixInsight I will stretch the image, and I will do a dynamic background extraction and a gradient thing to make it a little more smooth and even. And then I will combine each hydrogen, oxygen, sulfur filter in PixInsight. But once I have that image, I'll move it over to Photoshop and do all kind of color grading and, making it really pop from there. So I would say the majority of everything is in Photoshop, but the main layering comes in PixInsight.
Very nice, very nice. They're complaining about my Twilight reference now. So we've got some. I got Annie over here filling in for Mr. Tyler, and I'm going to turn your microphone on, Annie. Well, I don't know. I don't have anything left.
What happened with Tyler? I just the screen froze, and then I had to cut out
by our boss.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got him.
So I'm going to let Annie take over for a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, Annie.
Hi. I'm not supposed to be behind the camera today and not in front of it. So, okay. So
You're doing great.
Thank you. I pulled up a solar image that you did. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, sure. So these are sunspots. And this was taken sometime last year, and it's basically cooler spots on the sun, and they're normally connected to each other. So you can kind of see on the two right sunspots how there's kind of like a connection flame between them in a way, like a bridge almost.
Yeah.
So
what did you use to take this?
So for that, here, scroll down on that thing.
Okay,
I don't remember if I used a solar scope or.
No, hang on. Now I'm just showing that I am as computer illiterate as Tyler. Why I can't get a scroll?
Oh, don't worry about it. I believe this was taken with a cork.
Okay.
It's something that goes, for those that don't know, it's something that goes in the back of your regular telescope. Yeah, this was taken with a cork, Daystar cork, the chromosphere.
Okay.
And so that allows you to turn your regular telescope into a solar scope.
Okay.
You can't use it with reflectors, but you can use it with refractors. And it just goes on the back between your telescope and your camera, and it just filters out a lot of that light, allowing you to take a photo of the sun. And so that's what this was taking off. But I do have a dedicated solar scope, which is probably the primary.
So do you use that more now than this setup?
I do, because the Daystar Quark was on loan to me, and I used the hell out of it, and I thought it was great. And then I had to give it back. So right now it's kind of all I got, the solar scope. But it's a great solar scope, and I appreciate it so much. And it was a gift by a friend of mine named Simon Tang, who's a great solar astrophotographer.
Cool. So I'm just getting into astrophotography. I have an Canon XS that is ancient of days.
Nice.
Came over with Noah on the Ark, and Tyler had the IR filter removed off of it for me, and so I took my first picture with it recently. But what if somebody had to choose between modifying a camera or getting an astro dedicated camera, what would you say would be the pros and cons of that?
So here's my view on it is if you astro modify your DSLR camera, it's not going to work as great in the daytime for regular pictures anymore. So it kind of becomes a one-trick pony. And something like a DSLR is like, I would only modify a DSLR if you know that you're only ever going to use it for astro. Yeah. Like you're never going to want to use this camera again for outside. So I personally like, the pros and cons would be is with a modified camera is you've got things like internal batteries. So you don't have, so you can just, it's so much more portable. You can kind of just pop it on your telescope and there you go, versus a dedicated astro camera. You have to have a computer out there. You have to have a power source and all these things, which if you are, if you kind of have a big rig already, chances are you already have power and all those things. So I think for someone that just wants something simplistic, a modified DSLR is perfect, but it's only going to take you so far. And then eventually when you're ready to really invest into a bigger rig that will allow you to kind of get better quality, I guess I should say, at that point, then you go with a dedicated astro.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why I chose that one, because Tyler was trying to get me to do, I have I think it's T5i. I haven't used it much. I used to do photography for houses and realtors and stuff like that. So, but he wanted me to modify that one. I was like, that's my better camera, and I'm not touching it. So my other one was just sitting there. It was only at this point it was only worth like $50, and so I figured, I wanted to see how much I can get, what kind of use I can get out of it, because it's from 2007. It's really old. So, but like you said, eventually I would like to get up to what, where I can spend more money on it and things like that. But it's better to me. I'd rather learn the hobby on things that are that make you learn it than just getting a setup and going, oh, okay, here we go. Took a great picture and moved on,
And if you look at any of my Milky Way images, none of them are astro modified or taken with a dedicated astro camera. Like they're all with a regular standard DSLR. And or now I use a mirrorless camera. The majority of them are all taken on a DSLR. And
Wade wants to know, which camera are you using right now?
So my DSLR, I use a Canon R6, and then for a dedicated astronomy camera, I use the ASI 2600 for one of my scopes, and then the ASI 1600 for another one of my telescopes.
So what is the most challenging? Sorry, I was gonna go ahead, and then I'll ask the question.
There's like a lag, so like if you end up speaking, and chances are I'm going to talk over you for a second without noticing that I'm talking over you for a second. So
I'm sorry.
But no, it's okay. It's okay. So and then if I'm doing things like solar or lunar or astro, I use the ASI 174.
Cool. So what is the most challenging thing that you've shot so far, would you say?
Might be the one that I'm actually editing right now of Orion. I put 30 hours into it, which is the longest I've ever done. But the reason why that one's probably the most difficult is because I took 10-minute exposures, and then I took 6-minute exposures, and then I took 2-minute exposures, and then I did a whole RGB thing. So it's like a whole big mix of HDR all put together. It's definitely a few hundred photos. So
it's taken some time to edit it, I bet.
Yeah, it's been a mission to try and get it all together.
So, well, I don't I don't know much about this hobby. I'm like I said, I'm new to it. So this is very, I wish Tyler was here. I asked Tyler everything. I'm like, what is this? And how do I do this? And all that stuff. So, but,
Tyler's great. His work is fantastic. And he's such a great guy to help teach that stuff.
Yeah. And he's very knowledgeable. In fact, he asked us the other day, we have three customer service reps here, and he came in and asked us the other day if we want to take astrophotography classes, and I said yes, I would love that. So, and I have an 80 millimeter an 80 millimeter telescope right now, the Explore Scientific one. It's older, it's carbon fiber, but I haven't even set up an image train on it yet. So I still got to learn that and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, there's the 80 millimeter.
Yep,
the one on home.
So the ED. Yep, the ED80. Yep, it's just like that one. Yes, I know. Whenever you picked it up, I was like, hey, I know that. I have that one.
In fact, that blue and orange image on the bottom left that you were,
Where? Which
on
one?
the screen.
Which one? Which one?
The Rosette Nebula. So up.
Tell me when to stop.
Other way.
Other way.
And then all the way to the left.
Right there. Below
this one?
Blue. Yeah.
Yep. That one was taken with the ED80.
Oh, cool. Yeah, right now I have an it says a 127.
Oh no, that was the 127. Nah.
No, it's okay. Right now I have an IXS 100 that I use to do some tracking and stuff with. So I'm still learning. I'm at the very, very beginning of learning. I'm not, and so I've got a.
Wade wants to know, what's your favorite type of target to image?
Well, I'm definitely a nebula guy over galaxies. And I think I'd prefer nebulas over kind of everything. But the nebulas that really, I love so much are the really big ones where when you're shooting it, you can really get only a portion of it. Like, it's nice to get a nebula where you have the whole thing and then space around it, because it gives you an idea of like, wow, this thing is like lost in space. But when you can really just capture a portion of it and that takes up the whole frame, I think it's kind of an art piece in itself, kind of when you're processing it.
So were you scared in the beginning to do the light painting? I mean, I'd be afraid I'd catch something on fire.
Well, I didn't start with fire. I started with I started with just like a little finger light LED and some flashlights, and that I did for 6 months of just LED flashlights, and that's it, and painting around, and that in itself was so much fun. And I actually recommend if anyone wants to get into light painting, start simple. Start with just a flashlight or just some LEDs, or what I absolutely love. It's like one of my favorite tools, and yet it's the most simplistic. And you can buy like 200 of them for like, a few bucks on Amazon. Is like these finger lights that you can get. A lot of ravers use them, but they just have like a small little button, and you can buy them in different colors, and you just paint around like that.
That's cool. That's neat. I didn't know they made that kind of stuff. So how have you figured out what areas you can go to and what areas you can't go to? Because I know that Mike Wiesner had mentioned that there's some places that are illegal that you can't do light painting at. So where do you find that information so you don't get yourself in trouble?
I've been pretty bad about that, and I will just light paint until told off. But that being said, I think there's also a level of responsibility of, like, if there's astrophotographers around, or you see other people shooting anywhere like in that vicinity, don't bust out lights. Like, be respectful of the people around you. Yeah. If you're the only one that within like a mile radius of yourself or half-mile radius, then have some fun. I mean, light paint around. But so I think it really just comes down to using your best judgment.
So Alba Astrophotography says, I see some astro tags, I don't know, shoot for 20 to 30 hours of data. What would you say is your cutoff period? For example, are you going to get more detail with 30 hours as opposed to 20?
So there's the real answer, and then there's my personal comfort answer. And my personal comfort answer is more the better. You know, I feel like, okay, I've gotten 30 hours on this. Like, it's going to be a great image, and so mentally, I'm going to go into it like thinking, all right, this is going to be so great. I'm excited. But then there's another side of it that is like, I know that after 20 hours, like between 20 and 30 hours, like your improvement is like so little, like it's not super dramatic. So I think if you just get 20 hours of data, like you're totally fine. And you're in, like, if I were to edit something that's 20 hours of data versus something that's 30 hours of data with the same excitement, they'd probably look exactly the same. But mentally going into the processing, I'd be like, all right, let's do this. I'm excited.
So do you scope out your locations before you go, or do you just go, hey, I think I'm going to go here today and try to take some photos?
For Milky Way or deep space?
Just for, I mean, well, like light painting, like all of it, light painting. What is your procedure? I don't even know what you would say. Like, how do you decide where you're going to go and what you're going to do?
So for light painting, I normally do light painting in places that I enjoy to do astro in, like Milky Way stuff in, and that is normally like a, hey, let's go to Joshua Tree or whatever.
Watch out.
Paul, Tyler is back. You can finish answering this question. Here.
Did you call me Paul?
Yes, I just called you
me
Paul. Yes.
How rude.
There you go.
How rude.
I'm quite disappointed in you, Annie.
That's all right. It's just Annie.
Calling him me. I'm quite disappointed in you.
It's okay, but I'm better.
Welcome back.
It's okay. We had a customer come in.
He was answering a question for Tyler.
What was the question?
I said, how does he decide where he's going and does he scope out his areas first and things like that?
Mac, take it away.
Normally I like to just go to a national park of some sort and then just explore and find something cool. And a lot of times I'll go in the daytime on hikes and stuff. And I have an app called Photo Pills, which will help you kind of like tell you where the Milky Way is going to be. And so you can help kind of plan your shots that way. And then versus deep space is a little different because at this point I shoot from home. My telescope and stuff is just right on the roof of my apartment building, thanks to my neighbors being super cool with it. So what I do for that is I'll go on something like Astrobin, where there is everybody posting up their stuff, and I see all the coolest kind of images that people are shooting this time, and then I will literally go on to Sequence Generator Pro, which is the program that I use to actually take all the images, and I'll set up an entire season's worth of targets and
you go that in depth.
Map the whole thing, and so that way, like, if something ever happens in one side of the sky and there's clouds, I can always just go to another spot and start this target, and it's just I have everything all lined up. And
that's what professionals do. They plan.
Hey, Paul,
What?
I'm gonna throw SGP in front of your face. I want you to just get lost in the sauce, as you will get lost in the sauce.
That definitely get lost in the sauce on that one.
You will get lost with SGP.
Good news, I don't know what you're talking about.
Sequence Generator Pro is how we, as astrophotographers, capture data. You know how you use Photoshop?
Tyler, you know this.
I know. Poke.
What program do you use?
I use Sequence Generator Pro. I actually just finished up IC 1396, or the elephant's trunk, finally. Now I'm in the process of doing the Eastern, and Western, and Pickering's Triangle. Since the moon's,
so the whole, veil.
I'm doing the whole thing. But the thing is, I'm doing it with the 127.
Oh wow!
No wide field shot. Yeah, I want close ups of everything. I got a 1x flattener on it, and I love it. I use these ASI or ZWO 2600 mono with Chroma SHOs and just Antilla LRGB. And that's
nice. What do you think of those filters?
I like the ones I got were for like faster scopes. So they're designed for faster speeds, which again, if I go slower, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so I have that capability if I ever go that way. But yeah, 900-second exposure on the Eastern Veil. It was nice last night. It's really nice.
Oh, it pops. And what scope are you using?
The 127 FCD 100, the same one you got. Yeah.
Nice.
No reducer, no nothing. Scope. Yeah, I like the. To me, it's. Go ahead.
No, finish.
I call it it's my good all around scope. I mean, I can put a reducer on it. I can get short wide field. I can put a flattener on it, and it's got long enough reach. I can do mostly the galaxies, some of the galaxies, and if I throw the reducer on it, I can get a whole lot more, like the Lagoon Nebula, Orion's Nebula, Horsehead. I get a whole bunch of stuff. It's a great little go-to scope, and I just picked up a Takahashi 106 FSQED, which we'll see how that goes. So I'm waiting. That's going to be my wide field setup because I got a reducer for it as well. So I'll be around 300 millimeters ish of focal length. So it's going to be my nice wide field.
We're also going to use that red when it comes in.
So Paul had a crazy idea. What was it? A couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
He was curious if we could use a red cinema camera for astrophotography. So why not? I just emailed Red and said, hey, I work for this company. I do this. I'd like to try out to see if this camera can be done with astrophotography. And the same day, sure, we'll send you the V Raptor. It's like, oh, well.
Wow. That is so cool.
I was like, I wasn't expecting an answer on a $40,000 thing, but
it's only 25.
Well, it's a full setup.
I'm super stoked to see what you come up with.
Yeah, me and Paul will go out. We'll use it. He'll use it.
ProRes 444.
Yeah,
18-bit.
Insane.
It's. I don't even. We're gonna have to figure out how to get the files to go on my work computer. I mean, it's just gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Now, do they have like a T-mount for something like that?
Yeah. They have quarter 20 screws. They got 3/16. It's an EF adapter on the front of the lens. I have EF lenses.
Oh, okay.
I asked them specifically, can I have an E mount or an EF to an E mount? That way I can throw on my Sigma Art 24 1.4 on there.
Plus, we're gonna stick it on a telescope.
And then we're gonna stick it on a telescope.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and see what we can do, and see what kind of resolutions we can get with an 8K dedicated camera.
Dude, that is so dope.
18 stops.
Yeah.
18 stops.
How big is the sensor?
Range.
It's full frame.
It's actually cinema frame, so it has. It's not 16:9 or anything like that. It's that 2.3 letterbox.
Oh, it's the 2.3 letter. So I would think that would be full frame. I would think.
It's got 8,000 pixels. So yeah.
Now, what would be really interesting to see is if you can take a video of deep space stuff moving across the sky. I've seen stuff like that, like where you see, where you actually see Andromeda just moving in live view.
So it's time lapse, just moving over. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, we just plug it in.
Right, but they're not pictures. It's like it's an actual
it's a video.
We'd have to drop the resolution down to nothing, like 2K, because the file sizes would be too large. We wouldn't be able to, because they're only going to send us one card, I bet.
Maybe, we'll see. I mean, I haven't emailed him yet, or he hasn't emailed me, and I can ask him about it. So we'll see.
If I'm not mistaken, I think with red, a lot of red cameras, and I might be totally wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can actually hook up hard drives to it and record directly onto the hard drives.
Yes, that's how it works, actually. You take just any old hard drive, but the codec that it has is so large that...
Yeah.
And no, they didn't give it to us. They're loaning it to us.
Well, yeah, I assume.
Yeah. No, there's somebody in the comments that said...
Let's see.
I was answering his question.
They gave They gave you it? Yeah.
I wish.
The Explore Scientific ED80 with... Yep. I forgot what I think I have a 0.6 reducer. I might be wrong. It becomes such a fast scope. A fast scope.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at that point it's like 270 something focal length at like 3.6 or something like that.
That's quick. And yes, Wade, I am using pre-shifted SHO chroma filters at 7.5. I can send you the data if you want.
Can we send you the data? Filters in line with the red?
I don't see why you couldn't.
Yeah, I'd have to get a specific adapter that has a thread-in filter
to put it on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like with ZWO, and you're using a dedicated camera. You can put filters in line with it. You're losing too much data then. I don't know, Wade. I'll let you be the judge. I'll send you some files if you want of HA, S2, and O3. But guys, that's going to be about wrapping it up because I got to get to a baseball game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mac,
get it.
Girlfriend waiting on me.
Oh well, lucky you. Yeah, well, cool.
What'd you say?
God, I love the comic in the background.
I'll get you all. I have a birthday party to go to.
Mac, this is what we do. We constantly pick on each other all the time. Call all the time.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining me to the party, guys.
Yeah, Mac, you're gonna be so Mac. If you want to come down and mess around with the red camera, you're more than welcome to.
Dude,
you got a place to stay. You can just take off and do what you want with it, but you got to stay local.
No. I got to go with it.
Yeah.
Wherever it goes, I go.
No, it's my camera, not yours.
I don't care.
But guys, that's the show. Mac, I wish I could have been here longer, but I had a customer come in that was asking all technical questions, and everybody was lost because I'm the only astrophotographer here. But we'll definitely have you. Man. Yeah, we'll definitely have you on again. That way I can ask you more crazy questions. But guys, appreciate you tuning in on this week's show. Make sure you tune in on next week at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time for Focus on Astrophotography. Again, that's Mac Murdoc. Make sure you go follow him on Instagram because his stuff is insane. And y'all have a good day.
Thanks.